squad players, when you look at Austin Ekeler's career, he hasn't played so well.
Yeah, I think there's a long list of guys in the NFL that have been very productive that spent time on the practice squad. So I think you always emphasizing that they're on a team, they've got an opportunity to keep working, keep getting better, and you do that, usually good things happen. So just knowing that how you get here is not really important. It's what you do once you're here, and keep getting better every day.
The way that game started Sunday, I mean, I think you scored the first 5 possessions, 6 possessions. How would you just characterize the way that game started? I mean, from a play calling standpoint, just an offensive standpoint.
Yeah, I mean, I think we were in a good rhythm. The guys were executing well. We made a number of plays that helped keep those drives alive and kept us going. It's such a fine line between that kind of a start and one where you're not scoring points and you're punting more. Just a drop ball here or a guy who doesn't make a spectacular catch and you're punting. And so it's it's a fine line, and you just got to give credit to the players that they went out there and executed, made plays. Justin threw to the right guy and threw accurately and scrambled when the opportunity presented itself, and guys up front blocked, and we ran the ball well, and all those things add into getting in a rhythm and being able to have that kind of start.
Was that the perfect mix for the passing game, Joe? Because Herbert's average yards per throw, I think, was the second lowest of the season, but he hit some intermediate and long throws, including that one to Mike.
Yeah. I mean, I think we won the game, so we could say it's a perfect mix. I think every game presents itself different. The game script develops in a different way, but we always want to be able to be balanced, and you'd rather have 10-yard completions than 100-yard completion and 9 incompletions. Well, the yards per attempt's the same, and so I think his completion percentage was, well over 70%. And when you do that, good things happen. So, we're always trying to strike a balance, and sometimes you lean a little more heavily pass, sometimes run. And again, how the game develops, that certainly is a part of it. But, obviously, whatever we were doing Sunday night was successful, certainly in the first few quarters anyway.
Right, but it seemed like, too, the short passing game kind of
Yeah.
looked like it did the first 5 games. The yards after catch were there.
Yeah. That helps, and we, almost every play has different levels of receivers, and sometimes you call a play and you're hoping that you get a deep shot, and he's scrambling and he kicks one out to Josh Palmer, which I think was taken down as a run because he kind of flipped it back. You're trying to call a play to get the ball downfield, and it doesn't always work that way. And he does such a good job of taking the shot when it's there, but still making a positive play when it's not. And, the touchdown play was really Keenan was primary on a little short option route, and they overplayed it, and he played the play, and he saw the go outside and saw the safety wasn't wide enough and hit it. And so, that was a very unaggressive call that turned into a big play. And, it's just part of it is taking what the defense has given you, and that's a good thing when you're accurate and you got guys that are catching the ball and then running after the catch, like you said.
How satisfying was that to have that game go the way it did, but then to be able to see that one moment that you can actually win the game?
Yeah, I mean, I would have preferred that we just ran away with it and kind of had your feet up in the press box late because you're up by a few scores. But, I think it speaks to the character of the guys and the team that, man, that momentum, that ball was rolling hard the other way. And no one panicked, and they just went out there and kept playing and, believed in our ability to win that game. And so, it's very satisfying.
So on that throw to Mike, you called that. What are you thinking the chances are that ball is going to go to Mike? Are you pretty much sure it's going to go?
Well, we had seen that they were, playing aggressively towards the route that Keenan was running. And so, you knew there was a chance. And when they were lining up, it hit my brain like, man, that throw is going to be there. You're hoping the quarterback sees it, and he sure did. He saw it fast, and the ball got there fast. So, you're never – again, it's not often that it happens. I think we hit that shot against Washington in the first game, same play. He hit Mike down the sideline. And so, it happens you might call a play like that 2 or 3 times a game, and it might happen 2 or 3 times a year that you hit that outside throw.
I think Mike Williams had 3 catches in the opening drive.
Yep.
I guess how big was that to get him in rhythm and really open up the rest of the offense?
Yeah, I think it's good. 2 of those were 2 big third down conversions, and I think it's real important. We are certainly making an effort to get him the ball, and the last 2 games anyway, there have been some number of calls where he's primary and the defense just took him away and we had to progress through. And so, every play comes out differently, and Justin does a good job of finding the right guy based on how the defense is playing. And, he started out hot because that's what the defense told him to do. And then, he wasn't making a bunch of catches there in the middle part, and then made a couple good big catches at the end. So, again, I think another big game's in his future, sooner rather than later. I just can't tell you exactly when that'll be.
And with that, Justin, do you think those scramble runs, early in the game, maybe help them out a little bit to get rhythm as an offense?
For sure. Yeah, those are, a lot of those were explosive runs, so it changes the field position significantly, keeps drives alive. And, the way that they were playing was, they were playing man, 2 high safeties. Well, that just leaves 4 guys rushing, and he was finding the rushing lanes, and he gets going, and everyone's got their back to him, and those turn into big plays. And that's, we always say in those coverages, the quarterback's legs are a part of this play. And, the O-line was doing a good job. A lot of times you have that, but everything's compressed and there's nowhere to go. Well, they were blocking well, which gave them rushing lanes to scramble lanes to get out of there and make big plays. So credit to everyone, but just him recognizing it and taking off and getting those yards, and for the most part avoiding hits, which is huge, getting down when the journey was over. But it's huge. When you force a defense to play all those elements, they got to cover Mike and Jared and Keenan and Austin and Jalen and, all our guys that are going out for passes. And then they also got to be like, hey, if we ignore the quarterback, he could go off on a 20-yard run. That adds an added element that makes it tough to defend.
Do you remind them after that 30-yard run, though, that don't take on the defender?
Yeah.
I mean, everybody was focused on what happened after the
Yeah.
play, but the fact that he was going
Yeah,
one-on-one
like-
with the defender and lowering his head.
Shane Day emphasizes that as much probably as any coach in the NFL to avoid those hits. But he's a competitive sucker, so especially in the second half, and sometimes the competitiveness gets the better part of him. But we certainly emphasize that he doesn't need to be taking hits.
When you look ahead to the Broncos, the secondary, with Kareem Jackson and Patrick Surtain the second, what makes those guys tough to kind of scheme against, if you will?
Yeah, I think talent, a good scheme and a scheme that they play very well. They do a great job of disguising. Everything kind of starts out looking the same. And, we've got some experience with that because, there's a lot of carryover with our defense. So we saw a lot of that in training camp. So, but, good players and a good scheme, and they execute it well. And, it's a challenge, when you got 4 guys in the back end, 5 really, when they're in sub, that are really high caliber players.
Have you seen Austin Ekeler grow in this offense?
Grow, I came in with a really high opinion, especially after watching the film, and I'd say that, you've got a level of expectation. You're like, man, I think I'm seeing this, but, you never know for sure, and he's kind of met the highest level of those expectations. I mean, he's so efficient. He's not a big guy, but he runs big, runs strong. He's got good vision, a good receiver out of the backfield that, catches the ball, and then when he's got it, good things happen. He's a hard guy to tackle, and so, there's not a lot of guys like him that can run between the tackles as effectively as he can, but also can be out in the perimeter as a receiver or running routes, and be such a dangerous guy in space. It's usually we always talk about a thunder back and a lightning back, when we were in New Orleans, like that big back, he's the pounder, and then the lightning back's more of the receiver and scat back, and he's just a tremendous combination of both those qualities.
Is he a more smaller, lighter version of Kamara? Or
Yeah, I think it's tough to compare. I mean, there are obviously differences, but the way that you employ them in an offense is very similar, and he's smaller, but he doesn't feel smaller when he plays, he's such a strong kid, You guys have probably seen all his weight room videos. I mean, he's small, but he's compact and runs behind his pads, and he's not an easy guy to tackle. So he plays like a big guy.
With Justin's output, rushing output from Sunday night, how does that play into your fourth down play calling?
Well, I mean, it gives you confidence that, I'm thinking 4th and longer, if we're in those 4th and 4 type situations where you're more in a likely pass situation, that if something doesn't pop open right away, he's going to have the ability to extend the play and either get the ball downfield or, scramble and get the first down. So just, when you've got that kind of multi-talented weapon, there's a lot of ways you can win versus a guy that's just in the pocket and is not going to do much when he gets pressured. Just, you've got more options to be successful.